I'm going to miss YouTube. I mean, especially in two areas. The second area I'm going to miss it is these playlists. We had some really great playlists because that's what we do here, right? We build patterns. So you're going to see a video in a minute of some really nasty black on Asian violence, black on senior violence, with even a little bit of a twist to it. And so it's not just to say that this exists in isolation. It's good to be able to say to everybody, hey, here's our pattern, here's our playlist. Don't try to deny. You can deny this one video, but you can't deny a playlist of hundreds and hundreds of examples. We still have all those videos, and we're gonna work on posting them on some places on YouTube, because the thing is, I got kicked off of YouTube, but there are still hundreds and hundreds of my videos on YouTube with dozens of people who've been copying them, mirroring them. So there's still lots and lots of YouTube out there that we can watch and see good old Colin on YouTube. But for now, we're on Minds.com, and I'm starting to learn a little bit about it, and it's really pretty functional. It's pretty easy to use. But the first thing we're going to miss the most about YouTube, and this is where you come in, is the suggested videos. The YouTube and the YouTube search engine, for our purposes, are kind of the same. That's where we get all the traffic from. That's probably how I met you. So that means everybody that watches these videos on Minds.com, and you hear about it from Twitter, you hear about it on my Facebook, you hear about it on my email, you might even just hear about it from your friend at the office. A lot of people, so many people take these videos outside at lunchtime. Everybody's huddled around the little phone going, look at that. Look what that dude Colin says. He's speaking very plainly about this BS. And so if I had my druthers, we'd be on YouTube, still soaking up the millions of views we were getting from the search engine and the suggested videos. That's not part of our world anymore. We're going to be on here, Minds.com. I'm also going to do more posting on Facebook. I'm also going to put some more videos over ColinFlaherty.com. But let's get back down to the business at hand. Here's a video out of LA, which is kind of perfect when you think about it. Watch this. Okay, this little old Asian lady, I think she's Korean. It's Korean town in LA. Little old lady is walking through the door. She looks behind her and holds the door for the black woman with the red weave coming up behind her. That woman's a long way away, right? So it's like, hey, I'll hold the door for you, because that's how we roll in Koreatown. We're very polite. Gets through the door, takes 2 or 3 steps. All of a sudden, she is a victim of an ambush attack from this person that came in behind her. Isn't that like a perfect culture clash right there? We have these Asians that are hardworking and polite and deferential, and then we got one of the lovely ladies coming up behind her and totally taking advantage of her kindness, totally taking advantage of her age and weakness to push her over. That woman's in her 70s. So we still have a lot of work to do to document and expose this kind of BS. And the more BS we're hearing every day is that white people do it too, and the real problem is white on black violence.
I thank the Lord every night that an angel would have been there that night.
Kay Ross, a grandmother who just celebrated her 80th birthday, says every day she looks back on what happened to her in May.
I don't know why anybody would want to hurt me.
This is how she looked after prosecutors say 16-year-old Michael Williams, along with 3 other teens, broke into her Del City home, beat her, and stole her car. Now Williams, the eldest teen, will be tried as an adult for the 9 felony charges he's facing.
Why did you have to beat me up?
According to court documents, he planned the attack, even bragging online, "I ain't going to lie, I think we killed her."
Did they not see in their minds that this was the wrong thing to do?
Ross says she is satisfied that Williams will be in the adult court system, but adds her sympathy.
A little bit of sadness for this young man, because the road ahead of him is going to be bad.
A man who was stabbed during a home invasion last fall has died. 77-year-old Bob Howe was stabbed last September when a man broke into his home. 19-year-old Magai Anai Kerr was arrested and charged with attempted murder, burglary, robbery, and theft. His trial is scheduled to begin in April. Urbandale police aren't saying what Howe's cause of death is, but they say the Polk County Attorney's Office is reviewing the matter.
We got a lot of work to do. Oh, by the way, welcome to the world's greatest man cave. This is the Willie Shields Man Cave. How you like them apples? Look, we're watching a golf tournament there right now. 50,000 people. I don't know. How many people are out there in Hawaii? 20, 30, 50, 100,000 people have been there all week. Where are all the fights? Where's all the violence? Where's the burglary? Where are the car break-ins? I mean, we were hearing last week all the time. We heard from Atlantic Magazine that if you move white people into a black neighborhood, that's going to cause, in some mysterious fashion that the Atlantic never really got around to explaining to us, that is going to cause black criminality. Because white people are always messing with black people and always calling the cops on them. And we all know that if you took the cops out of a black neighborhood, put them into a white neighborhood, you'd find the same kind of crimes there. Well, shouldn't that be ground zero for it right there, that golf course behind us where they're playing the PGA tournament? I mean, every 2 or 3 times a season, you hear somebody like say something in somebody's backswing and everybody's like aghast. That's the worst thing you hear happening at a PGA golf tournament. Okay, so we've got work to do, and that means I've got work to do. I'm going to do more work on my end, promoting the page with articles, maybe more radio interviews. I'm going to do, we're cranking up our podcast again too, by the way. That we're going to make kind of a big deal out of that. There'll be a store. There'll be a place where you can get the cups and the shirts and exclusive material. We're going to do a lot more interviews. So that's going to be pretty cool on the podcast. The nice thing about the podcast is we can talk a little bit more at length about things like that article from the Atlantic Magazine, which maybe this format really doesn't lend itself to. Plus, in the podcast, if you're at the gym or you're just doing chores around the house, I listen to podcasts at night when I go to sleep. On the way down here, I was listening. I turned on NPR on the way down to the secret man cave of the great Willie Shields. I mean, the other room, these guys are out there. They're building a truck from scratch. Out in the front of the man cave, Willie's restoring this huge sailboat from scratch. Willie was sitting here a couple months ago when he heard this, knock, knock, knock on the roof. Turns out there were like 6 fellas up on the roof. They didn't know Willie was in here. Willie walked outside and in his Marine Corps voice said, "Hey, what the hell is going on? I have a recording of this. We'll run that in a few. I should have had this out by now, but we're going to put this on a podcast pretty soon." Willie, Willie, just with his voice, maybe he had a little help from, his Uncle Smith and Wesson too. I'm not sure about that, but let's not talk about that. Anyway, there's a bunch of fellas sitting down on the sidewalk waiting for the cops to arrive. So that's the history of this man cave. And, I'm happy Willie came out on the top end of that. So I'm glad you're with me over here at Minds.com. We're going to be doing a lot more with this channel. I even feel sheepish in saying this. I feel sheepish in saying share these, subscribe, let your friends know about it, because my experience with the videos we've been doing so far is, we couldn't stop people from sharing these videos because I don't think people are getting this anywhere else. This kind of plain spoken, exposing the greatest lie of our generation, the greatest hoax of our lifetime, the myth of black victimization. I don't see anybody speaking this plainly about it anywhere else. And by the way, when I was listening to NPR on the way down, and turned on the channel just at random, an NPR show, they're talking about this woman who's the head of the Kellogg Foundation. That's one of the biggest foundations in the world, and they're spending $25-50 million a year to expose white racism and how white people are always picking on black people for no reason whatsoever. They're having all these seminars to talk about it. And in the Atlantic Magazine, go back to the Atlantic, this big article was written with a grant From the MacArthur Foundation, another huge foundation, the Ford Foundation has dumped $100 million into this whole Black Lives Matter movement. All dedicated to one thing, that black people are relentless victims of relentless white racism all the time, everywhere. That explains everything. So there's a mountain of denial, deceit, and delusion out there, and we're going to fight it here, you and I together on Minds.com. We're going to spread these dang things all over the darn place. And by the way, if you want to download this and stick it on your YouTube channel, feel free. I have all these videos. I'm sending videos to all these people with YouTube channels now, saying, "Hey, I've had these up on YouTube. Give them out again." And if you have a mom or a sister or aunt, uncle, grandmother who might be in the position of that little old lady in Koreatown, let them know how, because they are old, they are at risk. They're at risk because they have money. They're at risk because they have drugs. They are at risk because they won't fight back. They're at risk because they're old. I don't think a lot of people know that. And of course, they're not going to hear that from the local newspaper or TV. That puts their lives in danger. That, by the way, makes the local media complicit in what we just saw. So we're going to keep telling our stories, you and I together. Thanks for all your support. Yeah, it's amazing how generous people are. As soon as I got kicked off YouTube, and we didn't stop. We kept putting stuff right on Facebook, right? And now we're putting it here. We didn't stop. People, hundreds and hundreds of people sent me emails saying, "Colin, doesn't matter. We're going to go wherever you go. We don't care." So thank you for all the support. Thanks for sending me the stories. Thanks for contributing to me on PayPal. Thanks for sending me stuff in the mail. Somebody sent me some cigars in the mail. It's like, I didn't expect any of this to happen when we started doing these videos. So I'm very gratified and thankful to you for doing that. We're going to keep doing it. My guess, along the way, we're going to make a couple of black kids angry.